Welcome to the Bite-sized Tech News TLDR podcast. We're jumping straight into the deep end today.
Yeah, straight in, no floaties.
Exactly. Our mission for this deep dive is to cut through all the noise, all the hype you see on social media, and get right to the bottom line of a fundamental shift happening in tech right now.
A massive shift.
Right. We're looking at the exact real-world implications of the new rules of AI costs and what this radical shift in economics means for your productivity, your product strategy, and quite frankly, your business's survival.
Because if you're a founder or a product manager, or really just any professional trying to navigate the current AI landscape, your old playbook is completely obsolete. It's useless.
It really is. So we are going to break down exactly why the absolute smartest founders out there are currently treating their biggest expense as their greatest competitive advantage.
It's a complete inversion of traditional business mechanics. I mean, we've spent, what, the last 2 decades optimizing for software margins?
Easily 2 decades.
Right. The whole goal was always build it once and then scale it infinitely at near zero marginal cost.
The classic SaaS model.
Exactly. But the material we're analyzing today throws that entire model completely out the window. If you are operating under the assumption that high operational costs are inherently bad, you're fundamentally misinterpreting the current market dynamics.
Okay, let's unpack this, because we really need to start with the foundational paradox here. On paper, if you just look at a spreadsheet, it looks like financial suicide.
It looks terrifying.
It does. Because in a traditional SaaS model, your hosting and compute costs are maybe, 5, maybe 10% of your top-line revenue.
Right. Yeah, 10% would even be high for some of the really optimized players.
Right. You want to keep those COGS, your cost of goods, sold as low as humanly possible so you can maintain those beautiful 80+% gross margins, the margins that venture capitalists and the public markets just absolutely love.
Right. The rule of 40, all those classic metrics.
Exactly. But with AI, and specifically when we talk about inference, the math completely breaks.
Yeah.
And just to ensure we're all aligned right off the bat, when we say inference in this context, we're talking about the active real-time computational cost required every single time a user prompts your AI to actually do something.
Yes. To actually generate a response or perform a task, it's the cost of the model thinking and executing in production.
Right.
And we have to differentiate that from the upfront cost of training the model. Training is a huge capital expenditure, sure.
Yeah.
But inference, those are active, ongoing operational costs, and they are astronomically high compared to just running a traditional database query.
Right. Which brings us to a mathematical scenario that would give literally any traditional CFO a heart attack.
A full-blown panic attack.
Let's look at the baseline math presented in our source notes. Imagine you are running a highly successful, mature software company. You're doing $50 million in annual recurring revenue.
A very solid business.
Very solid. You've got great product market fit. You have a solid sales team, healthy margins. Everything is great. Then you decide you need to integrate a heavy, deeply embedded AI feature to stay competitive in your market.
Which everyone is trying to do right now.
Everyone. So your engineers build it. It's incredible. And your user base adopts it overnight. They love it. But, and here's the catch, when you get the AWS or the Azure bill at the end of the month, you realize that to run that specific feature at scale, to pay for all that active inference, the annualized cost is going to be $125 million.
Let's just hold on that number for a second, because the implications of that are staggering.
Yeah.
You are generating $50 million in total company revenue, but your direct operational cost for just one feature is $125 million.
It's absurd.
You're running at a negative 150% gross margin on that feature alone. Under any traditional financial framework, this isn't just a bad quarter. This is an existential crisis.
Yeah, it's a profit-killing monster.
Exactly. It will drain your treasury, it'll trigger a board revolt, and it will ultimately bankrupt the company within months.
But wait, hearing all this, my first instinct as a founder would be to panic and immediately throttle the feature.
Right.
Like put a strict rate limit on it, downgrade the model to something cheaper, or just rip the whole thing out entirely to save the company.
That's the traditional instinct, yes.
So how on earth are the fastest growing AI companies looking at this exact same math and not running for the hills?
Because they've initiated a really profound conceptual pivot. They aren't looking at that $125 million as a traditional cost center.
Okay.
They aren't treating it as COGS at all. They are actively choosing to treat that massive inference expense as customer acquisition cost.
Their CAC.
Yes, it's their CAC.
Sound like
They are literally moving the server bills to a completely different line on the spreadsheet.
I hear that argument, but I mean, isn't that just accounting gymnastics? You're basically taking a massive operational loss, crossing out the word servers, writing in marketing, and hoping nobody notices the cash burn.
It sounds like a shell game if you just look at the surface.
Right. I mean, you're putting your entire customer acquisition strategy at the mercy of API pricing from OpenAI or Anthropic.
Yeah.
Or raw compute pricing from NVIDIA. Doesn't that fragility absolutely terrify these founders?
It would if it were just an accounting trick. But it's not. It's a fundamental reallocation of capital.
Walk me through that.
Think about how a traditional $50 million SaaS company acquires its customers. They might spend $20 to $30 million a year on marketing and sales.
Easily.
Right. They are paying for massive booths at industry conferences in Las Vegas. They are buying incredibly expensive Google and LinkedIn ads. They are paying for a massive tech stack of marketing automation tools.
HubSpot, Salesforce, all of it.
All of it. And most importantly, they are paying the salaries, the commissions, and the overhead for an absolute army of sales development reps and account executives.
Right. The human element of the sales funnel.
Exactly. Under the old model, customer acquisition meant taking clients out for expensive steaks and spending 6 to 9 months just nurturing leads.
Yeah.
Now, these AI founders are taking that steak money, they're taking that SDR commission money, and that Google ad budget, and they are feeding it directly to NVIDIA GPUs.
So they are buying user delight directly through raw compute power rather than trying to buy their attention through traditional advertisements.
Precisely. You pump all those millions of dollars into making the AI so incredibly fast, so powerful, and so deeply integrated that the product itself becomes the ultimate marketing tool. You bypass the traditional sales funnel entirely.
Okay, let's look at this in the wild, because when you see it actually working, it's wild. Take Cursor, for example. We've got the trajectory right here in the deep dive notes, and they achieved what is arguably the fastest SaaS growth curve ever recorded.
It's unprecedented.
They went from $0 to $1 billion in revenue in less than 12 months.
Just let that sink in for the listeners. 0 to $1 billion in a year.
It's completely unheard of. And the kicker is they did it with a tiny team and essentially zero traditional marketing spend.
Right. No army of salespeople.
None.
Yeah.
If you look back at historical SaaS giants, your Salesforces, your Workdays, even product-led growth darlings like Slack or Zoom, nobody was hitting those revenue milestones in that time frame. And they certainly weren't doing it without massive, massive marketing budgets.
And if we break down the mechanics of Cursor's growth, it perfectly validates this whole compute as marketing thesis. Cursor is an AI-powered code editor.
Right.
If they had built a mediocre product and tried to sell it using a traditional top-down enterprise sales motion like pitching CTOs and taking them to golf tournaments, they would have failed.
Completely.
Instead, they spent incredibly heavily on inference. They poured their capital into the raw compute power necessary to create a user experience that literally feels like telepathy.
Right. It's that specific tab autocomplete feature they have. I've used it, and it's not just a wrapper around ChatGPT where you copy and paste some code into a chat box.
No, it's deeply integrated.
Exactly. It's constantly running inference in the background. It's reading your entire code base, predicting your next 5 lines of code, and presenting it to you instantly. That requires an insane amount of active compute.
It does. And that massive, expensive, continuous inference creates an immediate, undeniable wow moment for the developer.
Yes.
The developer sits down, starts typing, and the AI just finishes their thought perfectly.
Yeah.
That is the exact catalyst for the viral loop.
Okay, let's break down that viral loop mechanically, because it is the engine of this entire new playbook. Step 1. You authorize the massive inference spend. You just absorb the server costs up front to make the tool uncomfortably smart.
Step 1 is the investment in magic. Yes.
Right. Step 2 is that wow moment we just talked about. The user experiences the magic firsthand.
They feel it.
Then step 3. Because developers are inherently collaborative and they're highly communicative online, they immediately share this magic. They post a screen recording on X or LinkedIn showing how the AI just refactored a massive component in 3 seconds.
Which triggers step 4.
Yeah.
That user-generated content becomes your top-of-funnel marketing.
Free marketing.
Exactly. You didn't pay for the ad placement on Twitter. You paid for the compute that generated the behavior that resulted in the organic social post.
That is such a crucial distinction. And then step 5. Those viewers who see the post become users themselves. And those initial users become evangelists.
They champion the product.
Right. You now have a distributed, highly technical, highly credible sales force that works for free. They're demonstrating the product to their colleagues, they're pulling it into their enterprise workflows, and they're pitching it to their engineering managers.
And that leads directly to the final crucial step of the loop, because you aren't carrying the massive overhead of a traditional marketing and sales department.
Because you don't have 50 account executives drawing base salaries and commissions.
Exactly. Because you don't have that overhead, you can price the product incredibly aggressively for the end user.
Right.
You combine a magical, compute-heavy experience with a frictionless, low-cost entry point. That triggers impulse buys. The inference spend acts as the marketing budget, completely replacing the need for traditional customer acquisition channels. It is a self-sustaining viral loop entirely fueled by compute.
It's brilliant. It really is. And it fundamentally changes what a tech company looks like structurally. Let's look at the second case study we have in the notes. A company called Lovable.
Their metrics are just absurd.
They really are. They are generating over $1.5 million in revenue per employee.
To contextualize how extreme that is, you have to look at the broader industry benchmarks.
Okay, what's normal?
For a traditional, healthy tech company, a very strong revenue per employee metric is usually somewhere around $200,000 to maybe $250,000. If you are exceptionally lean and highly profitable, maybe you push $300,000.
And Lovable is at $1.5 million.
Yes, Lovable is operating at nearly 8 times the industry average. They are functioning at an efficiency level that is almost a full order of magnitude higher than a standard software company.
Think about what that actually means for the organizational chart of the company. If you have a 10-person company doing $15 million in revenue, you don't have layers of middle management.
No managers, managing managers.
Right. You don't have a massive HR department dedicated to managing the interpersonal conflicts of a 100-person sales floor. You don't have a VP of marketing arguing with the VP of sales about lead quality.
You just have a handful of brilliant engineers,
Yeah.
a massive AWS bill, and a product that is so good it rips through the market entirely on its own. The product does the selling.
This is the critical takeaway for any professional analyzing this space right now.
Right.
Product quality and instant utility now vastly outweigh traditional sales outreach.
Absolutely.
You can no longer build an okay SaaS product, slap a fresh UI on it, and rely on an aggressive sales team to brute force it into the market. The barrier to entry for software creation has dropped so low that the only way to differentiate is through the sheer application of compute to create undeniable magic.
That's exactly right.
But sure, and I know listeners are thinking this, surely I can transition slowly, right? If I'm running a legacy SaaS company today, I can start integrating these heavy AI features, keep my sales team in place to ensure we don't lose our enterprise relationships, and just slowly shift the balance over the next 5 years.
That is exactly what you cannot do.
Really?
Yes, it's what the analysis refers to as the margin trap.
Yeah.
And it is fatal. You are looking at 2 entirely incompatible playbooks. You cannot straddle the fence here.
Walk me through the math of why a slow transition kills you. Let's map out the 2 paths so we can see the trap.
Okay, let's look at path A first,
Yeah.
the AI native model. This is the inference-first approach we've been talking about. Under this model, your gross margins are going to look terrible compared to historical software. You might be operating at 50 to 60% gross margins because you are spending so much money on the underlying compute power for every single user interaction.
Right, the servers are running hot.
Yes. However, because the product is driving viral adoption, your sales and marketing spend drops to practically zero. You might spend 5% of your revenue on marketing.
Wow, 5%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you have lower gross margins, but massive operational leverage. Your net income eventually normalizes because you've entirely stripped out the human overhead.
Right. And then you have path B, which is the traditional SaaS model. In that model, you have your beautiful 85% gross margins because your software costs practically nothing to host.
Right.
But to actually acquire a customer, you are spending 40, 50, sometimes even 60% of your top-line revenue on your massive sales and marketing apparatus.
Exactly. Now, imagine you try to do both.
The hybrid approach.
Right. The hybrid approach. This is the death zone. You decide to build a compute-intensive AI product, which immediately drags your gross margins down to 50%. But because you are terrified of losing your go-to-market motion, you keep your massive human sales team.
Which is costing you 50% of your revenue.
Exactly. So you have 50% CAR GS and 50% sales and marketing.
You are at 0% operating margin.
Before you've even paid your core engineers, your legal team, your rent, or your HR department,
You just bleed out.
you bleed out fast. The math simply does not resolve. The specific combination of lower AI gross margins and massive legacy sales spend will burn through your cash reserves at a spectacular rate.
And the markets won't tolerate that.
The public markets will crush you, and venture capitalists won't fund it. You have to commit to one path or the other. You have to choose your wedge.
Okay, but let's play devil's advocate here for a second. What if I'm building a highly complex niche enterprise tool? What if I'm building AI for supply chain logistics or compliance auditing for massive financial institutions? My product is fundamentally not built for a consumer viral loop.
Right. Nobody is tweeting about compliance audits.
Exactly. No one is going to post a screen recording of an automated IRS compliance audit on X and trigger a wave of impulse buys from other CFOs.
No, they're not.
So if I can't rely on viral, inference-fueled marketing, and I can't afford a massive sales team because of the compute costs, am I just structurally locked out of the AI revolution? Do I just close up shop?
Not at all. There is a third path, and it is highly specific to B2B enterprise software. We can call it the premium escape hatch.
The premium escape hatch. I like the sound of that.
If your product doesn't fit the viral consumer model, the answer lies in an entirely different category of AI application, autonomous AI agents. And the economics of this path are completely detached from everything we've discussed so far about viral loops.
Let's get into the psychology of the enterprise buyer here, because the pricing model for these agents is just mind-blowing. We're talking about selling a single AI agent to a corporation for $100,000 a year.
Yes. Per agent.
Under the old SaaS rules, trying to sell a single software license for $100,000 would get you laughed right out of the procurement office. Why are CFOs suddenly signing off on these massive invoices?
Because you aren't selling a software license anymore.
What are you selling?
You are selling pure, measurable ROI in the form of labor replacement. In the traditional SaaS model, you sold a seat license for, say, $50 a user per month. It was categorized as an IT expense, and it was viewed as a tool to make a human worker slightly more efficient.
Right. Software to help the human do their job.
Exactly. In this new paradigm, the agent isn't a tool for the human. The agent is the worker.
Right. So if that company currently employs a mid-level analyst or a tier 1 support representative and that human costs the company $130,000 a year?
When you factor in salary, benefits, payroll taxes, office space, equipment.
When pricing your AI agent at $100,000 is actually a bargain.
It is a massive bargain.
Yeah.
You are walking into the CFO's office and guaranteeing a $30,000 net gain on their bottom line on day one.
And you're simultaneously eliminating the complexities of human resource management. No sick days, no turnover, no retraining for that specific role when someone quits.
Exactly. And when you pull off that shift, when you successfully transition from selling seats to selling work, the entire conversation about inference costs becomes completely irrelevant.
How so? Walk me through the math on the escape hatch.
Let's look at the underlying math again. Say it costs you $10,000 a year in heavy active compute to run that single agent.
Okay, $10,000 in AWS bills per agent.
Right. In a traditional SaaS model, spending $10,000 to service one account would be an absolute margin killer.
It would ruin you.
But when you are charging $100,000 for the agent, that $10,000 server bill is just a 10% COGS. You have magically reclaimed your 90% gross margin despite running incredibly heavy AI inference.
Because the denominator changed.
Exactly.
You aren't comparing the compute cost to a $50 software license anymore. You are comparing it to a $130,000 human salary.
Precisely. This effectively isolates you from the brutal margin pressures of the viral consumer AI market. You don't need a viral loop, because the unit economics are so overwhelmingly profitable on a per-sale basis.
Right.
You can afford a targeted, highly specialized enterprise sales team because the contract values are massive and the ROI for the customer is undeniable.
It's a brilliant escape hatch. So when we step back and look at the macro picture here, we've got the viral engines of Cursor and Lovable destroying customer acquisition costs. We've got the margin trap killing companies that try to straddle the fence. And we've got this premium escape hatch redefining enterprise pricing entirely.
It's a completely new landscape.
It is. And what this all points to is a complete redefinition of the classic business mode.
The defensibility of a tech company has fundamentally shifted. For the last decade, a strong moat meant having a high switching cost, a deeply entrenched sales apparatus, and sticky integrations with legacy IT systems.
Yeah, the classic enterprise lock-in.
Right. Slower, traditional competitors relied on those moats to protect them from innovative startups. But this new paradigm weaponizes a company's single biggest operational expense, their compute, in a way that incumbents simply cannot match.
But is this new mode actually defensible? I mean, think about it. Compute is a commodity. Anyone with a massive pile of venture capital can buy AWS credits.
True.
If your only competitive advantage is that you're spending a fortune on inference to make your product feel magical, what stops a massive competitor from just raising $50 million, matching your compute spend, and cloning your magic?
That is the vulnerability. And it's exactly why the moat isn't just about spending money. It's about the orchestration of that spend. There are 4 distinct pillars required to make this new mode sustainable.
4 pillars.
Yes. And if you miss even one, the whole strategy collapses.
Okay, let's break down the 4 pillars. Pillar number 1. You need a product so magical that people cannot stop sharing it. It can't just be slightly better than the legacy alternative.
No, slightly better doesn't trigger virality.
Right. It has to be a step function improvement that generates genuine shock and awe.
Right. And pillar number 2 is that you need viral mechanics baked directly into the core product loop. The sharing cannot be an afterthought.
It can't be a refer a friend for $10 button hidden in the settings menu.
Exactly. The act of using the product must inherently demonstrate its value to non-users.
Think about how a developer uses an AI coding assistant while screen sharing on a Zoom call with 5 other engineers. The product is literally marketing itself just by being used in public.
That's the perfect example.
Okay, pillar number 3, super simple, frictionless pricing. If you are relying on the product to do the selling, you cannot have a Byzantine pricing matrix.
No, you can't have a system that requires a 45-minute discovery call with an SDR just to understand the base tier. It has to be swipe a credit card simple.
And pillar number 4 is the financial reality check. You need the capital runway to bridge the gap.
This is where most fail.
Because the inference costs hit your balance sheet immediately. Every single time a user touches the product, you pay. But the compounding effects of the viral loop take time to generate actual revenue.
Right. You are front-loading your customer acquisition costs into server bills. You must have the financial stamina, the cash reserves, to absorb massive losses while the flywheel spins up.
Which brings us to the existential threat for the incumbents. Imagine you are a legacy software giant right now. You have spent 20 years building a perfectly optimized, highly efficient global sales machine.
You have thousands of account executives all over the world.
You have a massive headquarters. You are deeply entrenched in the Fortune 500. And suddenly, you are looking at startups with 20 engineers, 0 salespeople, and massive AWS bills, and they are outgrowing you at a terrifying rate.
The terror in those legacy boardrooms is palpable because they are structurally locked in the margin trap we discussed earlier.
They can't escape it.
They physically cannot afford to match the inference spend of the startups because they are burdened with the immense overhead of their legacy sales organizations. If they try to match the compute spend, their margins completely collapse.
Their stock price tanks, and the CEO gets fired.
Exactly. It's a lose-lose for them.
The fundamental question for these established companies has flipped entirely. 2 years ago, the question in the boardroom was, can we afford these massive AI inference costs? Today, the question is, can we afford not to?
If you choose financial prudence under the old rules, if you choose to save money on servers and protect your traditional gross margins, you are effectively choosing irrelevance. You are handing your market share over to companies that are playing a completely different game with completely different physics.
Okay, we have covered a massive amount of ground today. Let's distill this down for you, the listener, into the bottom line. If you are building, managing, or investing in this space, here are the 3 most critical takeaways you need to operationalize immediately.
Number 1, reframe your costs.
Yes, you have to completely abandon the idea that AI inference is a traditional code-GS or a profit killer. You must mentally and financially reallocate that compute expense as your primary engine for acquiring customers. Your server bill is your new marketing budget.
Number 2, prioritize magic over early margins. Focus every ounce of your engineering and financial resources on building that undeniable wow moment.
Your immediate objective is to trigger the viral loop through sheer product utility. If you achieve that, the operational leverage will eventually fix your margins for you.
And number 3, find your wedge and commit. You cannot straddle the fence.
You either commit to the AI native path, low gross margins, viral growth, and zero sales spend, or you take the enterprise premium escape hatch and charge massive premiums for AI agents that completely replace human labor. Do not get caught in the margin trap.
Attempting to blend the old world with the new world is the absolute fastest way to bankrupt your company.
Absolutely. Thank you all for joining us for this deep dive into the new fizzon of AI economics. Be sure to check out the Tech News TLDR YouTube channel for our daily video updates to make sure you're staying ahead of these massive industry shifts.
And as we sign off, we want to leave you with a final thought to consider. A logical extrapolation of the math we've broken down today.
We've established that AI agents are now being successfully priced and deployed as one-to-one replacements for $130,000 knowledge workers.
And we've also established that viral compute-heavy products are completely eliminating the need for entire departments of sales and marketing professionals.
So, if compute is the new marketing and agents are the new workforce, what exactly does the next decade look like for the millions of professionals whose daily specialized jobs were just redefined by a CFO's spreadsheet as nothing more than a company's inference cost?